Hello, welcome to day one. Today is Friday. It is very sunny here in London, which I am very much enjoying. My hay fever is not, but I've had hay fever for years. It's just part of the summer parcel, so it's all good. Today is a bit of a mishmash day. On a Friday, Luna is here for the most part. Oscar is at school, so I don't have that kind of dedicated stretch to my working day, which means I'm very deliberate about the things that I can and I can't do. Because for years I would have, stressed out. I would have added so many things to my to-do list. I would have felt like I was on the back foot the whole time. And for me, that's not the way that I want to work. It's not the way that I want to create or show up. And so I'm much more realistic these days. And I could feel that hesitation around being realistic, because sometimes realistic sounds a bit boring or it has a lack of spontaneity. But for me, it's just about meeting expectations. And I would rather do something well and tick it off rather than have all sorts of things floating around, and I haven't done any of them. And that makes me far worse than maybe being a bit boring. So Luna's been out for a couple of hours this morning and she's got a play date here this afternoon. Oscar's at school, then he's going to someone's house for a play day. So it's a lot of backwards and forwards and organising and things like that. So today I have finished off one of my pages that I really have been knowing that I needed to edit for a while. This is really interesting when this comes up. I don't know if this happens in your business. Sometimes it's those jobs that are quite simple to do. They won't take you that long, but there is resistance there. There is a sense that you just want to put it to the side and not really think about it, and hopefully it will just magically change, because it involves a different part of your personality. That part where you look at yourself and your brand and it's personal and you want to come across in the right way. And that inner work is a lot to do with the process. So when I have clients who want to become more visible, for example, I could give them a really beautiful content strategy. Have you thought about this? Have you shown this? Can you bring this part of your business to life? But for me, it's always about delving into what feels good for the person. How do you feel at your best in order to show up? And how can you tweak the known strategies to work for you? And I had to do that this morning with my speaking page. And one of the things that I actually do when I'm creating a website page, and I try and do it when nobody's here because you just feel a bit of a wally, but I actually read it aloud. So once I've done a pretty solid first draft, I will read it out loud. And if there's any points along the way that feel a bit, when you just get that sensation where it just feels a bit squeaky, or it's just a bit, I don't know if I would say it like that. That is a really, really great tip to have. Say things aloud and play around with it. A couple of other things that I wanted to share today. What did I want to share? Okay. So I want to talk also about thinking about your shape of your week. And this has been something that it saved me so many times. I have a tendency to get overwhelmed quite quickly. I'm brilliant in a crisis, bizarrely. I have lost count of the amount of times where I've been the person to take somebody to A&E, or can get stuff done or make a decision or meet whatever the challenge is. But in my day-to-day life, if I'm not careful, if I'm not monitoring things, I can feel that of feeling overwhelmed. So one thing that has really helped me is to, on a Sunday night, think about the shape of my week and really notice what is going on. So the fact, for example, I have 3 days of childcare. On a Monday, I'm talking about Luna here, Oscar's in school. I have childcare on a Monday and a Wednesday and a Thursday. So I plan my tasks according to that schedule. And so if I've got calls, if I've got client meetings, sometimes I can't guess when auditions are going to come in. But the stuff that requires me to be focused on it, engaged, present, etc., I try and put those in those times when I know that they're definitely not here. Because it's so tempting to bend your business, bend your boundaries so much to the point where you're trying to please other people the whole time. And I know it's incredibly stressful when you're feeling that you're having to entertain a child at the same time. I mean, we all lived through this in the pandemic, shifting our businesses in different ways. So that is one thing that I really notice in terms of planning my tasks. I also ask myself, what is going to be, so again, it's Friday today, what is going to be my version of success? So when I'm planning on a Sunday, when I get to Friday, what do I want to have done? What things do I want to have shifted? And sometimes that's just about consistency. I want to have done the thing that I wanted to do 3 times this week. And actually, that for me is movement. I can't believe I've only sort of been able to articulate this recently. Movement in my week is so key. I need to be in my body. When I think about how I was as a small child, I used to dance 4 times a week. And even when I wasn't in class, me and my pals would be making up dance routines in the playground. I used to dance in the kitchen, in the living room. I was always out running and climbing. And I love that feeling of being in my body. And then, of course, as the years go on, there are not so many opportunities to go dancing. You're adulting or you're working, and I have definitely been a sporadic exerciser, and I finally made it, and it's taken a long time, a non-negotiable. I can no longer afford for my mental health, my spiritual health, my physical health, my business health to have a yo-yo diet feeling with exercise. A yo-yo relationship where I do something a lot for 6 months and then I do nothing at all and I forget about it. Now, of course, there are times when I do it less, or I don't know, if I had an injury or something like that. But for the most part, exercise is part of my life. And it's not perfect. It's not every day. It's not the fastest. It's not the best. Sometimes I'm working at 20% of what I'm capable of, but my aim is just to keep showing up. And sometimes that means me saying, right, I'm going to go for a run, but I run for 10 minutes and then I walk the rest of the way because that's all I can manage that day. But that has been really key. So a couple of things I want to share with you today is, what does your shape of the week look like? And what do you need to have in place? What are your considerations? Also, what is going to make you feel good within that week? I know there's that temptation to say, once I've done all my work, I'll go and play. I'll go and make myself feel good. But the thing is, I believe the two need to run alongside each other. For example, if I can set myself up with a lovely morning routine, I know that that's going to help my work. And sometimes that means getting up early before the kids, and that's okay, because even that half an hour to myself, sometimes it's 12 minutes, literally, it really helps my energy levels. One final thing I wanted to share on this day one is I've just finished Russell Brand's book, Recovery. Now, I'm not in recovery. I know some people that are. I've also had some clients that are. And in terms of my own reading, and I'm sure I've written a blog about this or done a podcast about it. When I turned 40, I made a commitment to myself about reading again. I love reading, I love words, I love writing, and I'd fallen out of the habit because I was just so tired. I did not have children who just love to sleep or settle themselves or anything like that. And in that tiredness, in that exhaustion, reading was one of the things that fell off. And so when I turned 40, I made a commitment to read 40 books by my next birthday, which I did. Some of them were on audio, just to say, but it changed the way that I felt about things, and I looked at different topics and authors and challenged myself and really fell in love with books again. So if that's something that you want to do, whether it's reading or another habit, make a commitment to yourself, give yourself a number, and see if you can meet it, and do it imperfectly. Of course, it all goes without saying. Anyway, I've read this book, Recovery by Russell Brand, and loved it. Really, really loved it. And what it gave me was just the fact that we are all doing things to the best of our ability, and that we all need help, we all need support, we all need, here's Luna here, encouragement and community, etc. That's it for today. I'm going to say goodbye. See you later.